To get this session kicked off. Today is Thursday, July 28th. We are recording this session, so thank you for joining. If anyone is interested in seeing the session afterwards, we'll be able to do it online. So a little bit of background so we can get things kicked off here. I'm on the call today with Simon Cuthbert from ExactTrak. This is part of our proactive risk sort of security awareness sessions. And as you may know, proactive risk is focused in three particular areas. We're focused on conducting security investigations post-mortem, helping our organizations get back in business or get back in the fight, as well as doing things such as helping them with tabletop exercises to ensure that the security testing provides them with ability to attack and defend. Proactive risk provides services such as penetration testing, as well as threat modeling and security architecture. And then lastly, our managed services. Our managed services help our clients stay in the fight every day, where we have a set of eyes that help the organization continue to be aware of its surroundings and be proactive about the risks it's facing. For those that are familiar with the Center for Internet Security, the Center for Internet Security Top 20, also known as the SANS Top 20, this was a body of work that we participated in that outlined 20 areas of control, security control, that every organization should be concerned about. Organizations should be able to take a look at the 1 through 20 controls and map that to their organization. Ask themselves a simple question. How are they doing on wireless device control, on controlled use of administrative privileges? How are they doing on data loss prevention? And be able to examine the security controls that go in place to determine if they are actually meeting the guidelines as per required for organization compliance, as well as for best practice. So today I'm very proud to introduce our partner. Our partner is ExactTrak out of the UK. Simon's going to do a presentation around the technology that we've seen in our clients, and we'd like to go ahead and introduce it to you. I think you may find the presentation very, very useful, especially because the organizations that you're looking to protect are your own. So with that, let me push the ball over to Simon. Oh, and of course, the phone likes to ring. We're in the middle of the call.
That was perfect timing. Good afternoon.
Oh. All right, sorry about that. So go right ahead, Simon.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Excellent. So good afternoon, everybody. My name's Simon Cuthbert. I'm the Director of Global Sales and Marketing for ExactTrak. We are a UK-based organisation with design and manufacture of our solutions all based out of the centre of the UK. I'm really pleased to be on this webinar today, and thank you to Tom and the guys at Proactive Risk for inviting us. So I'd like to just jump straight into it, if I may. So our view on being proactive with managing data is that we look at customers and their data, and when their data leaves a building on a mobile device, it's immediately at risk. It's immediately at risk from theft, accidental loss, and ultimately being compromised. And the thing that we need to look at is what happens after the device has been lost or stolen. And there are many solutions out there which we'll cover shortly that will help you to protect your data while it's in your hands and while it's in your organization. But there aren't many solutions that are available in the marketplace today that will enable you to fully control what happens to your data post-event. So what happens when the device is lost or stolen? There are two main comments that we get. The first of which is, it's okay, the device was encrypted. First question after that is, are you sure? Are you 100% sure that the information on that particular device was encrypted at the time of the theft or the loss? And the simple answer is no, you just cannot be sure. The second is, it's okay, we can remotely wipe or remotely delete the data, which is great, as long as that device is connected to the internet. If the device is not connected to the internet, it will never receive the command. How do you know the command has been executed? If it does receive that, you have no post-event verifiable audit trail, which in today's terms is quite dangerous, because you need to be able to demonstrate that the data that is in your possession is controlled. It comes down to a simple fact, which is the majority of data breaches are internal, and the majority of those internal data breaches are accidental. The Wall Street Journal back in August 2014 conducted 5,000 interviews, and of those interviews, around 30% had actually lost a USB flash drive that contained confidential information, and a staggering 77% had lost either a laptop, tablet, or mobile with sensitive data contained on it. My one piece of advice to you is never put sensitive data on a mobile phone or cell phone. It is a very dangerous thing to do, but we will come on to that a little bit later. But what it comes down to is people lose stuff. And it's human nature, it's an accident. We don't mean to lose things, but unfortunately we do. But it's how do we manage that afterwards? Here are just a few cases these are specific US-based cases, but we can talk about lots of UK and European and data breaches in other parts of the world. But I thought these would be very relevant. The Indiana University Health Hospital, they lost a USB drive that had 29,000 patient records contained on it. They think that the drive was encrypted, but they just didn't know. And they obviously had to make it public. They had to report it. They were open for fines. They were open for loss of reputation and more obviously damage to the business as they move forward, because there was a lack of trust that patient records, sensitive patient records, were not being controlled correctly. And then in Centene, they lost information of 950,000 customers in the same way. The information was on a device and it was lost. It's as simple as that. It was a hard drive. There were 6 hard drives that they had, and the devices were lost or potentially stolen. The only thing they can say is they went missing. They have no idea where they are, which means if you don't know where your data is, how can you possibly control it? And then Health South, they lost a laptop. 1,900 patients were affected by this because of the employee's laptop went missing. So the theme here is loss, not particularly theft, but loss, and being able to mitigate that loss by managing what happens to the device after it's happened. So let's just take a look at the existing solutions that are out there before we move on to the solution for my organization, ExactTrak. So we talk about USB flash drives. We talk about the enterprise level USB flash drives. We don't talk about the flash drives that you can pick up from free from a trade show. We don't talk about the USB flash drives you can pick up from Walmart and places like that. We talk about enterprise level USB flash drives, IronKey, Sanders, Kingston, Kangaroo, those types of organizations. They're all very good. And there's no taking away their capability as very good encrypted USB flash drives. Some of them have a centralized management console, which gives you capability to manage those devices in some form remotely. But the same question arises as earlier. What happens when the device is lost or stolen? With all of those types of solutions that are on the marketplace today, they all require a management console, and they all require the device that has potentially been lost or stolen to be plugged in by a third party to an internet-connected laptop or PC to enable any management. You can't possibly ensure that a third party is going to plug the device in to an internet-connected laptop or PC. Even if the device was stolen, or especially if the device was stolen, I should say, the device is not going to be plugged in to a laptop that is connected to the internet. So any commands that are sent from a management console from one of these enterprise level USB flash drive solutions is never going to be received. Therefore, it won't be deleted, it won't be overwritten. And if the device is encrypted, great, but there are solutions out there to decrypt. We all know that it's possible given enough time and resource. but the fact that you cannot demonstrate that you took preventative actions post-event is very worrying. Because if the device is not plugged in, you can't receive the instruction. The data cannot be overwritten or deleted. And again, there's no verifiable post-event audit trail. But then we look at the human factor of this, which is, as I said earlier, people just want to get on with life. And they want to have the path of least resistance to getting on with that life, and that includes mainly work. So although encryption is very important, our devices are supplied encrypted if that's what you'd like. Encryption alone is no longer enough. You need to be able to take further actions to ensure that your device is secure and the data is secure. Then we look at data stored in the cloud. Now, there may be policies within organizations that work with cloud storage that states that you can only access data in the cloud. If you download it and work on it, you need to upload it again, which is great, but human nature tells us that you will always store a copy of that data locally anyway, which gives you the same process of data protection and the issues around that. And one of the things that we were asked by one of our first customers that came to us was that we needed to take a lot of the responsibility and ownership away from the end user. Make it easy for them. All they want to do is use a USB drive. If it's encrypted, then great. If it's not encrypted, don't worry. There are other things that we can do to help with that. So our solution is called Security Guardian. It is a trackable, manageable USB device that comes in different sizes from 4 to 16 to 4 gigabytes to 2 terabytes, also in solid state disk capability from 250 gig up to 2 terabytes. It has a GPS locator. It has a built-in rechargeable battery, and that battery will be charged every time the device is used, so it's plugged into a USB port. From 0 to 100%, it will take about an hour to charge, and then you'll have about 5 days worth of charge without plugging the device in again. But because it's a business tool and a work tool, you'll always be plugging it in, unplugging it, and plugging it in again, so it's always maintaining a level of charge. We have folder encryption, a standard if that's what you like. We have secure laptop access, so we can be used as two-factor authentication. And something that I'll come on to a little bit later is the capability to run virtual desktops from our device securely. The one thing I haven't touched on down here is data destruction. In ExactTrak, we do not delete and we do not overwrite data. The reason for that being is that we did some research with one of the big 4 consulting firms that is a customer of ours. Unfortunately, I can't name them, but you can guess out of 4 who it may be. The research that they undertook for us was that over an 18-month period, they lost or had stolen, on average, 1,800 devices. That's laptops, USB devices, and tablets. Of those 1,800 devices, all of them had either remote wipe or remote delete capability. They subsequently recovered about 900 of those devices, so about a 50% recovery. When they went through the forensics and looked at how many of those devices actually deleted or overwrote the data, they found, worryingly, just over 50% of those devices maintained the data on the device. So the instructions weren't received. If they were received, they weren't executed correctly. So we don't delete or overwrite. We will physically destroy the memory chip. And I'll show you how we do that as we go through the demonstration. The device itself is all managed from a centralized management console. That can either be a cloud-based management console, which we will host for you here and you will manage yourself. It can be on-premise, again, you'll manage yourself. Our personal preference is that it is managed via one of our authorized and accredited managed service providers, such as Proactive Risk. And the reason for that being is that it keeps the knowledge centralized, and it means that you can always monitor what's happening with your data. From the management console, you are able to send a number of commands to the device. You're able to action turning access to the data on, turning access to the data off, also building secure data access Geo Zones, so the devices will only work in certain locations and with time-controlled access at certain times. We also give you a fully verifiable post-event audit trail, which means that if your device is lost or stolen, you can show any authorities or accrediting bodies that you need to show that you took post-event preventative actions to ensure the data wasn't compromised. Now, if I may, I will show you our management console. This is the management console that we have. There are a number of tabs along here. I'm going to focus on this main area here, which are some of my demonstration devices. So to give you a good example of the ability to locate the device, we click on the map and it will show you, this is in the UK. So today I was in London, and this is where I live, in the west side of the UK, near a lovely town called Swindon. And you'll see my device checking in. Now, very, very important to note that Security Guardian does not use any third-party hardware to interact with the management console. That is to say, we do not rely on internet connectivity to communicate between the device and the management console. So every 6 minutes, the device will wake up and it will send a small data-only text message over the GSM network, over the cell network, and it'll wake up and say, this is my location, do I have any instructions? That then goes into the management console, into the full mapping and also reporting function. If it does have a command to send back, the command is received at the device and actioned immediately. And that could be turning access to the data on or off. It could be creating a Geo Zone, which I'll show you shortly. It could be destruction of the data. And I'll just focus on that for a second. If your device is lost or stolen, you may have a policy that states because there is sensitive data on that device, you need to destroy the data. We simply go into the administration console, edit the device, click lost and commit, go back in one more time. From lost, we click destroy and commit. When that device wakes up, it'll say, this is my location, do I have any instructions? The instruction will be destroy. We then send 10 power pulses from the battery to the memory chip, and we physically melt the memory chip, rendering the data useless. However, we don't destroy the device. The device will then check in again. I will just do this if you don't mind. I'd rather not destroy my devices. Then check in again, and it'll say, this is my location. Do I have any instructions? Command received and executed. So you then have a post-event verifiable audit trail to show that, yeah, we lost the device. We believe it contains sensitive information. However, we have an audit trail that shows that a command was sent and received and executed on the device to either turn the device on or turn the device off, or as I say, destroy the device. Now, as I said, we talked about Geo Zones earlier. Geo Zones are something that are used a lot by our customer base. And the reason for that being is that if you have a device in a Geo Zone, so I'll show you this as an example. So this is the area where I live. Within my Geo Zone, if I enter the Geo Zone, my Security Guardian device will operate as normal. The moment I leave the Geo Zone, the device will know and will automatically turn off access to the data. So the data is completely secure. When I re-enter this Geo Zone or another accredited Geo Zone that I've set, access to the data will turn on again. And you will have a reporting email to the administrator or whoever you want to send the email to state device 123 entered Geo Zone ABC, device state on. When it leaves, it will send another email, device 123 exit Geo Zone ABC, device status off, which means you cannot access that data at all. Keeps it very secure. On top of the encryption and having the Geo Zones gives you a very, very secure system. Now, if the device can't check in via GPS, it will use a local cell network, and it will let you know the closest mobile phone cell mast that is in your region. Now, the important thing to note is knowing where your device is corresponding to where your device should be, which means that you will always be able to track your devices, always have control of your data, and always ensure that only the right people have access to the data at the right time and in the right location. Now, the one thing I mentioned earlier was the virtual desktop on a stick. We call it VDI on a stick. It gives you a very secure virtual mobile desktop. We support most flavors of VDI, Windows 8 to go, Windows 10, VMware, and so on. We even support Windows XP if that's what you prefer. Now, all of the data within the virtual desktop session is retained within the virtual instance itself, within the Security Guardian. So when you unplug the device, even if you're mid-session, there is no footprint or fingerprint left on the host machine. So that ensures that any data that you are working on is very, very safe and very secure and can't be copied or stolen and so on. And again, if the device is lost or stolen, we simply destroy the VDI session that is on the device itself. In the same way that we can do this with two-factor authentication. We have customers that have token authentication on our devices, especially for secure and sensitive areas. And if any of the devices are compromised, even to the point where an employee leaves the organization, they are able to turn access to that token off immediately. So if the employee takes the information, takes the device with them, they can't sell it or come back in or do anything subversive that they don't want to do. So really, to summarize, we have to remember that 70% of data breaches are internal, and around 70% of those are accidental. It's not about corporate espionage. It's about being able to best protect your data from the users and their inadvertent use of accidental loss. If you try to put in too much restriction of where and when users can access the data, this can cause friction, and I've experienced this myself in previous roles in organizations. You can cause friction between IT, management, and the end user. As I said, IT, they want to be able to control. Management, they want to be sure that they are covered legally. The end user just wants to get on and do their job with as little restriction as possible. Now, we're not the be-all and end-all of data security and for mobile data in transit. I would never suggest that we are. We are part of a solution, and I would always recommend deploying the complementary solutions, endpoint security as well as Security Guardian, to ensure your network of data is secure. The thing you need to be able to do, though, is enable management of mobile data in transit post-event. So being able to actually take preventative actions should the worst happen. And with Security Guardian from ExactTrak, you are able to do that. We give you secure Geo Zones and timed access, virtual desktop on a stick, global tracking and positioning so you always know where your data is, true remote management, and I have to emphasize the word true remote management. We are the only organization that enables you to truly manage your data at any time and any location, completely global. So you can manage that data, even if you're hosting your management console with proactive risk in the US and you're traveling to the UK, you can still control the data So, and control access, create Geo Zones, turn access on, turn access off, destroy if you need to. Most importantly, you have a fully verifiable post-event audit trail. So you are always able to demonstrate that you took all the actions you probably could and possibly could to ensure that your data was safe pre and post-event. So with that, I think I'll pass back to Tom. And Tom, if you want to take the ball and take it from there.
Great, thanks a lot. I really appreciate that. Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yeah, we can.
All right, fantastic. So giving people a little bit of time back in their day, this presentation was to provide an overview on a device that can help you with managing your data and being more proactive about risk. If you'd like to set up an evaluation to look at how we can help you with this particular important aspect of your business, please reach out. We do also do educational webinars like this with our technology partners every month. And if there's a particular technology that you're interested in, feel free to reach out. We may have an existing relationship, or we may have some suggestions as to why that technology may or may not be the best fit for your needs. Thank you for your time. We look forward to speaking with you in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you.